Hey there, fellow warriors. This is Chico, and welcome back to the Diary of a Fibro Warrior podcast. I hope you are trying your best to minimize stress as much as possible. As we know, living with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome is a daily struggle, and stress can make managing this condition even more challenging. Today, I want to talk about fear, which you may resonate with. About the fear of triggering severe symptoms and how it can affect most of us, especially after initially being diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I'll be sharing some of my experiences for educational purpose only. Fear of triggering severe symptoms. Initially when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I often asked myself, what's the point of doing anything if it only results in feeling severe chronic pain? Why would I willingly inflict pain upon myself? What is the point of going out if I can't enjoy activities like I used to do before? This self-questioning and self-doubt, which I didn't know at the time, stemmed from fear. Especially the fear of reliving another self-induced flare-up, which would often result in feeling disabling feelings of severe chronic pain as one of the major symptoms, including other numerous symptoms. I wanted to just cover what it feels like to suffer from severe chronic pain. Let me describe what it feels like to suffer from severe chronic pain. It's like an excruciating burning sensation all over the body. Imagine walking on fire coals barefoot, scorching heat, that sensation going through all over your body, and also feeling as though you are a walking skeleton, as your skin feels as though it's experience the most excruciating pain, which is the most unmanageable pain anybody could ever feel in life. And even the feelings of fingers and hands feeling severe pain, numbness and swelling, which also occur with the feet, and everything hurts. And then there's no immediate cure. You just have to endure the flare-up, which is the burning and ongoing sensation, as well as the severe chronic pain, until the inflammation and the nerve activity throughout the body eventually calms down. So this is just a brief description of what I could think about what it is to experience, or what it feels like to experience severe chronic pain. You may have other examples. Do feel free to share based on your personal experience. The emotions triggered by fear. Living with this fear brings about a range of emotions. The emotions such as fear, anxiety, and sadness. So let's start off with fear. Fear of a potential flare-up, of having to relieve the pain, for instance. Anxiety about doing anything that might trigger another flare-up, followed by sadness, which based on my experience initially, it was due to induced by the severity of the chronic pain symptoms. Then moving on to consequences as a result of the overarching feeling of fear, anxiety and sadness. Fear leads to a lot of consequences. Consequences such as limiting activities and social engagements, not wanting to let people down, or having to explain why you can't show up again, or why you're unable to physically or mentally assist in certain activities that you're being asked of. Losing friendships due to the adverse impact of the condition, or missing out on activities that you used to enjoy, both social and professional. Then there's also the aspect of the emotional, grieving the loss of who you used to be, including grieving the excruciating pain and the additional symptoms that come along with living with this chronic illness. I want to share lessons learned as a result of me realizing that some aspects of what I was going through as a result of being afflicted with fibromyalgia and its symptoms was due to fear. But through this journey, I've learned some valuable lessons such as acceptance, which I've mentioned before, but this is acceptance in terms of realizing that any experience that you're going through right now, in terms of the emotional aspect, it's something that is not it's not permanent. It's something that is forever shifting. For example, fear has the potential and will eventually dissipate when you reach the point of acceptance. Allow yourself time to grieve. Then there's surrender. Let go of fighting with the condition and with yourself. There's this internal struggle where it feels almost like a battle because you're trying to push. You may be trying to push through beyond your physical abilities, or there might also be a lot of self-questioning, self-doubt, fear as just some of the examples. So it's learning how to calm and ease all those internal struggles and battles. For me, it was about learning how to tame the internal fiery beast. It was something that I described as a monstrous lion was striking through my body intentionally with severe chronic pain. I decided at one point, after so much fighting, that I had to surrender. And this did not come easily. And moving on to letting go after you have surrendered. Surrendering is not a sign of weakness. It allows you to, for instance, discover internal peace. So it's letting go of that internal fight so that you have that space to discover internal peace. I also learned that I had to go back to basics, learning how to implement, for instance, not new as such, but learning how to do the activities that I used to do before, such as daily living activities, at a manageable pace, at a manageable and realistic pace. Then it's also about physically and mentally relearning how to live with the condition. And this is not easy. There are times where, if possible, you can that I realized in my situation that I couldn't do it alone. And the lesson from here is, if possible, seek support from trained professionals, from trained specialist professionals who are familiar with fibromyalgia and other symptoms that come along with it, who can help you to overcome fear and learn to pace yourself. It is best as well to seek that assistance from somebody who's independent from somebody who's close to you and familiar, somebody who's too personal. So for instance, if you can't seek help from a specialist trained professional, try to find somebody who is going to be judgment free and is going to allow you a safe space to be able to express yourself free from judgment. And sometimes it is also easier to seek external help from people who are not familiar, such as family members or friends. The challenge level is different, and the questioning and everything else, it gives you that opportunity to challenge yourself in a different way than if it were somebody who's too close to home. I hope that makes sense. So let's moving on to the challenge where I've highlighted not being able to do it alone. In terms of my experience, a physiotherapist once challenged me to confront my fears which I didn't know that was what I was experiencing. It was during a group session. He had challenged us or assigned tasks for us to go out and engage in an activity that we enjoyed. So, for example, I mentioned my activity was walking, but then I was resisting at the time because I felt, what is the point? Or I was fearing what could be. I was thinking of the end result. The end result would be the physical pain, the exhaustion, just overall not feeling well. Then I'd think, why would I even want to do that? Then he asked me a question. The physiotherapy asked me, what are you really afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? You have to get out there somehow. And at first I was annoyed and angry. That's the initial feeling that I felt, because it seemed too easy for him to say. And as I was looking at him, I thought, you haven't lived through my experience. You haven't felt what it feels like to live with chronic pain and to live through the daily struggle of living with this condition. Now, looking back, I'm grateful because he helped me overcome what I didn't realize at the time, which was fear. That was one aspect of my experience. He helped me to confront my internal self and to overcome some of my self-imposed limitations. My feelings and experiences were valid then, but I needed that extra push and nudge for somebody to challenge me, to confront the fears that were limiting me at that time, and to set realistic and achievable goals. Not to always think about the end result, but to start off with what was manageable first. Then moving on into stress reduction as one of the minimizing factors. Okay, so this is the segment where I'm still continuing to cover about lessons learned. So out of lessons learned in terms of stress reduction, reducing stress is crucial. Choose activities that calm your body and mind, as stress can trigger flare-ups. Something you authentically connect with, which you believe you can do easily. Then from that point on, to set up small, realistic and achievable goals, such as starting from 5 minutes, which may seem basic, but then it gives you the opportunity to then build it up progressively over time without risking too much, and also minimizing the fear. So not risking too much in terms of physical exhaustion, and then the emotional aspect is also all the anxiety, the fear, and everything that comes along with it. In my experience, I worked with an occupational therapist who helped me outline my daily activities. The aim of the activities was to become mindful and aware of everything that I was doing to minimize flare-ups. I had gone through, and I've mentioned this before, stages of peak and troughs, which were, crash and burn. Crash and burn because I was pushing myself too much to do things all at once, and I was going through this process of the fight and feeling as though I was losing things that I could no longer do anymore. In this instance, my first activity, which I can recall, was to I had mentioned which activities I enjoyed, and walking was one of them. So the occupational therapist recommended 5 minutes walking. Another time I thought, what's the point? This is ridiculous. Because if I go out for 5 minutes, I won't even reach the destination that I visualize where I want to go. For instance, the local cafe or to the park. I won't be able to fully participate in activities I enjoy and go to places that I like. But fear of severe pain at the time was limiting me. That was my limiting factor. Limiting factor because I feared again the end result. The end result was I can undertake this activity, but it'll kill the joy of what the things that I want to enjoy. If I take the activity, the likelihood is that I'm going to self-impose or inflict pain on myself. Why would I want to do that? Looking back, I'm grateful because I had to start somewhere. It was a good point to start off with after the internal fights and the internal struggle, to start off with something small, which seemed ridiculous at the time. Then I was able to build that over a period to the point where I was working towards reaching that cafe I had visualized in my mind, for example. So this is where it's very essential to start off with small achievable goals, and it also minimizes the crash and burn effects of living with this chronic illness. Then closing off, give yourself time and accept that you will have good and bad days. Healing is an ongoing process. With time, it's possible to overcome fear and reach a point of internal peace. And it may take time. So I hope that what I've shared today has resonated with you somehow. And I'll leave you with a lasting question for you. What are some strategies you found effective in managing the fear and stress of living with fibromyalgia? Feel free to share your experiences and tips in the comments below. Let's support each other on this journey. Thanks for tuning in to the Diary of a Fibro Warrior podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes and to keep connected to our community as well. Take care and I look forward to connecting with you real soon.